Sheriff McMaster, Dakota, and Emerson Wheeler have traveled east from Hilltown and have reached the foothills of Mount La Terra. The mountain, or butte, stands over 800 feet above the surrounding plains. The local Indians have a great fear of the mountain, as they believe the site was once the scene of a monstrous battle between good and evil. To this day, most of the tribesmen never go near the site as they believe it is haunted by the ghosts of those that died during the battle, so long ago. Although the members of the posse were skeptical of the supernatural claims at first, they have seen enough to now believe that something unexplainable by science is happening across the area. As they rode along, Dakota spotted a strange set of tracks that led toward the base of the mountain. They followed the tracks, which directed them to a large cave opening that led into the cliffside. They dismounted and approached the entrance on foot to get a better look at the area around the opening. The ground was strewn with the sun-bleached bones of both men and animals. Many of the bones showed signs of severe trauma, as though they had been subjected to a series of powerful blows or bites. Dakota lit his lantern, and they approached the cave entrance with extreme caution. The men were met with a vile and putrid smell which emanated from somewhere deep within the cavern. Dakota readied his carbine while William and Emerson did the same with their pistols. Dakota said a silent prayer, and when he finished, they stepped into the darkness and wondered whether they would ever see daylight again.
Good evening, and welcome to the Solo Gamers Club. Thanks for joining me for episode 5 of my campaign playthrough of Shadows of Brimstone. In this episode, we join the posse as they have traveled to the Mount La Terra region and have discovered a cave entrance cut into the cliffside. We will be running the basic mission, Fistful of Darkstone. To begin, let's examine the mission specifics and discover the elements that are contained in every mission. Setup describes the starting board arrangement and any special markers or cards that the heroes will begin with. Mission goal describes the criteria that the heroes need to fulfill to complete the mission. Special rules specify any extra rules that are contained in the mission. Objectives detail what the clue icons will represent during the mission, as well as what the final objective room may hold. Rewards details the bonuses that the heroes will receive if the mission is successfully completed. Finally, failure will outline the effects if the heroes fail the mission. For this mission, the heroes start on the standard mine entrance map tile. They must gather enough clue icons from the exploration tokens to lead them to the objective room. In order to determine the mission length, I'll roll a d6, with a result of 1 or 2 being a small deposit, 3 or 4 being a medium deposit, and a 5 or 6 being a large deposit. Alright, here's our d6 roll. Okay, we've rolled a 2, so that's going to be a small deposit. A small deposit will require us to find 2 clues, and when we find that second clue, that will be our objective room. There are no special rules in this mission. However, the effects of the travel hazard Blood Moon that we rolled during the overland movement are in effect until the completion of this mission. The posse members are all +1 spirit, but any depth events that are rolled during a Hold Back the Darkness roll are replaced by drawing a Growing Dread card instead. Our objective is to find the final clue icon, which represents the objective room of the mission. We ignore any attacks or encounters listed on the final exploration token, also ignoring any door or gate icons, as the objective room has no exits. Then we will reveal all Growing Dread cards, and the posse must face a high threat. Normally this would be an epic threat, but with only 2 heroes, the advanced rules recommend that a high threat be substituted in this place. The scaling chart indicates that the posse will be facing low threats during the mission, and will start with 1 revive token. If you'll recall, Will McMaster acquired a useful information token during the town stay in Hilltown, and this can be exchanged for an additional revive token if needed. If the mission is successful, the posse members will be rewarded with 25 XP and D3 Darkstone. However, failure will result in the destruction of D3 random buildings in the nearest town. In this case, the nearest town to Mount La Terra is Seraphin. My campaign rules will add a few additional concepts to the mission before we begin. The first is to consult the withheld mission chart. I'll bring that up on the screen. Whenever the posse begins a mission, the table is consulted and any missions that correspond to the same mission set are added to the rumor cup. From a narrative standpoint, the missions contained on this list assume that the posse has played one or more of the other missions associated with the corresponding core set or mission pack. Therefore, for the purposes of creating a logical narrative, these missions have been withheld until the posse undertakes at least one other mission within that set, thereby supplying the proper context within the storyline. As we consult the withheld missions table, we find out that no basic missions are a part of this, so we're okay with that. Another part of my campaign rule set is a method of adding a way to determine randomly whether a mission will have a theme associated with it. In my campaign, I'm going to randomly determine each mission's theme at the time of the mission setup. This would be done unless there's special rules in that mission that specify that the mission already has a dedicated theme with it, such as the Swamps of Death Mission 1, Night of the Dead. To resolve this, we'll roll a D100 and consult the mission theme table. If a mission theme is determined to be a part of this mission, a corresponding threat table will also be used in place of the standard threat deck. So I'm going to put that mission theme table up on the screen, and we're going to roll a D100 and check that table to see if this mission will also have a theme associated with it. On the D100 roll, I'm going to be using the red die as the tens and the white as the singles. All right, here's the roll. Okay, we've rolled a 79. That will have no specified theme attached to it, so we'll have a regular standard mission. If there was a roll that indicated a theme, we would get those theme encounter cards and place those next to the standard encounter deck, and then we would follow the mission theme rules for introducing those into the campaign. Our next step is to shuffle the exploration tokens and get those ready for play. There's 12 exploration tokens, and we'll shuffle these up. Okay, those are ready to go. And I've already placed our heroes out on the board. We've got Dakota and Will up front, with Emerson Wheeler, his henchman, following in back of Will McMaster. All right, then we have to get our depth track set up, and we'll place the posse at the mine entrance and the darkness at their starting point. All right. I've added an initiative board off to the left side of the screen, and that's a way for us to keep track of the initiative during the game. Dakota has an initiative of 5, so we'll place his token on 5. Will McMaster has an initiative of 4. And finally, Emerson Wheeler, he has an initiative of 2. So we'll use that board to keep track of the initiatives of the heroes and any monsters that they encounter. All right, we're ready to begin. We'll start with a Hold Back the Darkness roll. Dakota has the lantern. He'll be the lantern holder for this mission. And the posse is in the first stage, so we'll need to roll 7 or greater in order to avoid the darkness marker from advancing. So here's our roll. Okay, we rolled an 11, so no problems there. The next step is the activate the models in initiative order. So we'll begin with Dakota. He has an initiative of 5, and he'll roll for movement. Now, Dakota has a +1 modifier for movement. He's fast, so he gains +1 to the roll. Okay, Okay, he rolled a 2, that's modified to a 3, so he'll advance up 3 spaces. And then Dakota is going to scavenge. Scavenge roll is we roll 3d6, and then we get to draw a scavenge card for each 6 that we receive. All right, here's the roll. He rolled 2 6s, so Dakota will be able to pull 2 scavenge cards. All right, we'll place a scavenged marker on the tile to remind us that that tile has been scavenged, and then we're going to shuffle our scavenge deck and draw 2 cards. Okay, we'll take these top 2. And Dakota has found Emerging Darkness. Alright, Emerging Darkness, scavenge, it's worth 10 XP. Sometimes when you look too deeply into the shadows start looking back. Draw a darkness card. Alright, we're going to draw a darkness card and see what the effects of that are. Okay, we've drawn a darkness card, and that reads, Crumbling Faith, Darkness Forsaken. All heroes are -1 spirit or -2 spirit if holy, minimum of 1. Preacher non-heroes are also -2 to their casting rolls when performing sermons. Remains in play. Alright, so that will remain in play. We're going to leave that out. Now, fortunately, because of the blood moon, each of the characters was already +1 spirit. None of them have a holy designation, so they're just going to lose that +1 that they received from the blood moon event. So they're back to their printed totals, and that card will remain in play unless it is canceled. Our next card is Small Find. It's worth 10 XP. You find a small scattering of coins stained with blood. Dakota earns $50. Alright, very good. So we'll give him $50 and a total of 20 XP. Now it's Will McMaster's turn. To activate, he'll roll for movement. He rolls a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so he's in position through the door, and he cannot scavenge, but he can look through the door. And we do that by drawing a map deck card. And he finds a waterfall room. It has an advanced encounter attached to it. Alright, so we're going to get that tile out and place that on the board. Alright, I've added the waterfall room map tile, and we're going to place a exploration token there. And now it is Emerson Wheeler's turn to move. He has now, a henchman have a set amount of movement. They don't roll for movement like the standard heroes do. The henchman has a move of 4, so he'll move 4 spaces to back up Will McMaster. And now we will go to our exploration phase, where we'll reveal the exploration token and find out how many exits there are to the room, and whether or not there are any attacks or encounters. So our exploration token is revealed to be an attack, and there is 1 gate in the room. All right, we'll resolve that. Okay, we'll roll to determine the location of the gate. On a 1 or 2, it'll be here, 3 or 4 here, and 5 or 6 here. The other 2 would be blocked off. Okay, we rolled a 5, so the gate is going to be at that location, and the other 2 are dead ends. Okay, before we resolve the attack, we have to resolve all the encounters. Now, this card had an advanced encounter attached with it called Underground Waterfall. And we'll read that to you. It's an encounter, environment, water. Roaring water cascades down from the chamber above, pooling before draining through holes in the floor. Cave fungus and moss grow here, making the rocky, wet floor slick under your feet. Heroes on this map tile may not escape from adjacent enemies. Also, roll a d6. On a roll of 1, 2, or 3, the roar of the waterfall has masked the sounds of approaching enemies. Ambush attack. Draw a threat. This card remains in play. Alright, we're going to roll to see if this becomes an ambush attack. On a 1, 2, or 3, that will be the case. We rolled a 6, so there will not be an ambush attack. Now we have to draw a threat card and see what we'll be facing. To find out the threat that the heroes will be facing, we'll be using the low threat deck. And we'll give that a cut and then determine what the threat is. And we draw D3 plus 1 Hellfire Succubi. All right, so we'll roll a D3. I've got a special D3 dice that I purchased, and this will determine how many Hellfire Succubi they'll be battling against. D3 plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Let me get those models out and we'll set those up on the board. All right, I'll put the Hellfire Succubi card up on the screen so we can see their statistics. They have an initiative of 8, so we'll mark them on the 8 spot. They will be going first. Here's the models. I'm not a great painter by no means, but I figure any paint is better than no paint at all. So those are the models. And we'll place those in a checkerboard pattern starting as far away from the opposite side that the heroes entered the location. And we put those in a checkerboard pattern, like so. And we're ready to begin the combat. The Hellfire Succubi are a medium-sized model. They have an initiative of 8. They have the keywords Demon and Cinder. And they have the following abilities. Vicious Claws. Heroes are -1 to their defense rolls against Hellfire Succubi combat hits, meaning a defense of 4+, you'd need to roll a 5 or higher to save. Hellfire Demons. Hellfire Succubi are immune to Hellfire and Burning Markers. And they're also femme fatales. Hellfire Succubi are immune to critical hits from male heroes and are +1 combat when targeting female heroes. All of our characters are male, so they will be under that. Critical hits will not apply to the Succubi. They have a melee of 3+, combat of 3, damage 2, and a defense of 3, and 7 health. All right, we will begin with a Hold Back the Darkness roll for the round. We roll a 9, so we have no problems there. Now the models will activate in initiative order. The Hellfire Succubi will activate, and they have a movement of 7. All right, so we have to determine who in range they are going to be able to target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So actually any of those could be targeted. So we'll do a roll of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to determine who the target of the first model is. Rolled a 4, so that will be Dakota. So they're going to move their 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we'll orientate that towards Dakota. The next model, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The only target of those can be Will McMaster. So they will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coming up in back of him. And finally, the last model, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll orientate that towards their target. All right, following movement, the Hellfire Succubi can attack. We'll start out with the attack on Dakota. So this Succubi will attack Dakota. They have a combat of 3, so they'll be rolling 3d6, and they will hit on a 3 or better. Okay, here's the roll. And they had scored 3 hits against him, so 3 hits on Dakota. Now his defense, due to their vicious claws, are -1. So in Dakota's case, he has a defense of 4+, he'll need to roll 5 or better to block those hits. So he'll be rolling 1d6 for each of the hits, and then any results of 5 or greater that will block that hit. Okay, here's his defense. And he ended up with 2 good defenses, so that will take out 2 of those. And he will have to absorb the damage from this hit, which is 2 damage. So we will give Dakota 2 damage. That puts him up to 5 damage now. Out of his 10 health, he had 3 wounds prior to the start of the mission. So he's halfway towards his knockout number. All right, then the next, we'll have 2 attacks against Will McMaster, and they will also be rolling 3d6, and we'll do those separately. This model will attack him, and they will hit on 3 or better. They scored 2 hits, and Will McMaster's defense is also a 4+, and that will become a 5+ now. So he'll be rolling 2 dice, and on any 5s or greater, will block those from hitting. He ended up with 1 success there. It'll eliminate that hit, and he'll have to absorb 2 wounds from the hit he couldn't block. That will put him up to 7 wounds out of his 12 that he has available to absorb. All right, and now the final one. This model will attack Will from behind. They'll roll their 3d6, hitting on a 3 or greater. And they scored 1 hit. And Will has a chance to defend against that. He'll need a 5 or 6. And he gets it, so no wounds get through on that attack. Now we will move to Dakota is next in initiative. All right, Dakota will move, roll for movement. He cannot escape because of the underground waterfall event card. So we will roll for movement, and on a 1 he would be able to, he's already at max grit, but he does get a 1. So he can't move though, unfortunately, because of the he's prohibited from escaping. So he won't be able to use that grit token. He will use his carbine, which has 3 shots, and he will attack the succubi in front of him. Dakota will have a ranged 2 hit of 4+, so he will hit on 4s or greater. And unfortunately, due to their special ability, they're immune to critical hits. All right. Dakota rolls 1 hit against that succubi, and we'll have to roll a d6 to determine the damage. The damage will be -3 for the succubi's defense. And so 1 minus 3 is 0 wounds will get through. All right, next in order is Will McMaster, and he will target the succubi to his in front of him here. He is going to be using his Peacekeeper pistol that has 3 shots, and he hits on a ranged of 4+. All right, so here's his roll, and he has no hits. Not good. All right, and that I should have rolled for his movement. He can't. He's also at max grit, and he's not able to escape, so that's really meaningless. Next is Emerson Wheeler, the henchman. He is going to help out Dakota and try to take out this succubi. Emerson Wheeler has a pickaxe. He's +1 damage on melee hits. He also has a pistol, range of 6 with 2 shots. I didn't specify what he was carrying, but it would have been the pistol. Those are both one-handed weapons. So he can have a pistol in one hand and a pickaxe in the other. All right, we're going to use the pistol, and he will be rolling 2d6. And he hits on a ranged attack of 4+. And he scores no hits. Not good. All right, that ends the round, and we're ready to begin the next round. We start the second round of combat with a hold back the darkness roll. And we rolled double ones. Now normally that would be a depth event, but because of the blood moon encounter that we had on the road, that means we draw a growing dread card instead. So we will add a growing dread card to the stack. And I have to find those. One moment. All right, growing dread cards are not resolved immediately. Those are resolved in the final battle. So we're going to add a growing dread card here, and that'll be our stack of those. So now it is the succubi's turn, and they are already in combat position, so they won't be moving. And once again, that one will be attacking Dakota, and these two are going after Will McMaster. They have a combat of 3, so they'll be rolling 3d6, and they'll be hitting on 3+. This will be the attack against Dakota. And they rolled 2 successes. Dakota can defend. His defense now modified is at 5+. And he defended both of those. All right, very good. Next are the 2 attacks against Will McMaster. And the first succubi will attack him. 3 dice. And they had 2 successes. Will has a defense of 5+. And he was able to defend one of those. One gets through for 2 damage. So Will McMaster is now at 9 wounds out of his 12 health. All right, and now the last succubi will attack him from the flank. He'll be rolling 3 dice. And they ended up with 3 hits. Will can defend with 5+. He ended up defending 1, but 2 will get through, and that's going to do 4 wounds. All right, and that will bring him to 13, which would knock him out. We're going to have to use our revive token. We'll burn our revive token, and then that will completely heal Will. He has 0 damage to him. It's a shame we had to use that this early in the mission, but there is no option. All right, now it is the hero's turn, starting with Dakota. Dakota will roll for movement. And he did get a 1. He would have been entitled to a grit token, but he's already at max grit. And he cannot escape as a part of the mission rules against the Hellfire Succubi. So he will use his carbine and target the succubi in front of him. Be rolling 3 dice from the carbine, and he'll hit on a 4 or greater. And he has 1 hit against the succubi. And he's going to roll for damage, and the succubi's defense is 3. He rolled a 1, so that will be 0 wounds. Dakota is going to use one of his grit tokens and re-roll that damage. A 3 minus 3 is 0, still 0 wounds. All right, now we go on to Will McMaster. He's going to roll for movement. He rolls a 1 as well, but he's at max grit. This is very unfortunate. All right, Will is going to use his Peacekeeper pistol with 3 shots, and he'll target the succubi where he's facing, and he will hit on a 4 or greater. No hits. He's going to use a grit and re-roll that. Okay, this time he rolls 2 hits. And so we'll be rolling 2 damage dice, and we'll be subtracting the Hellfire Succubi's defense of 3 from each of those dice. He rolls a 6, which will produce 3 wounds against that one, and a 3 would be 0. So 3 wounds are set against the Succubi. Finally, we've got a hit on them. We'll mark that with the wound tokens. And now it is the henchman's turn. That's Emerson Wheeler. He'll target the Succubi in front of Dakota. He will be using his Peacekeeper pistol, which has 2 shots. And he hits on a 4 or greater. No hits. All right, he has no grit as he's a henchman. And that completes that round. We begin another combat round by holding back the darkness. We roll double 3s. That normally would be a depth event, but we're going to be adding an additional growing dread card. This is not going well, folks. We've got 2 of those there. The Succubi are the first to activate. They're already in combat position. And we will roll for the attack against Dakota. They'll be rolling 3 dice, and they'll hit on a 3+. And they've scored 2 hits. Dakota can defend, and his defense currently is 5+. No defense. Dakota will take a total of 4 wounds. That will bring him up to 9. He's 1 short of being KO'd. All right, I've added those wounds to his card. And now we have 2 attacks against Will McMaster. The first one, rolling 3 dice, hitting on a 3+. They scored 2 hits. Will can defend. 5+ will defend against them. He has 1 defense, and he will take 2 wounds. All right, and now the final attack for this round. They'll be rolling 3 dice. No hits. That's very good. All right. Now we go to Dakota. He will roll for movement, and he'll gain a grit on a 1. And he did get a 1. Amazing. He will recover a grit. All right. And now he will attack the adjacent Succubi using his carbine. He'll be rolling 3 dice and hitting on a 4 or greater. He scored 3 hits. 3 hits. It's too bad that they're immune to criticals. All right, and the Succubi has a defense of 3, so we'll be subtracting 3 from each of these d6 to determine how many wounds. Well, that's pretty good. We've got 6 minus 3 is 3, 6 minus 3 is 3, and 5 minus 3 is 2. So we have a total of 3, 6, 7, 8 wounds that will kill that Succubi. Finally, some success. All right, Will McMaster is next. He is going to roll for movement, see if he can recover a grit. He does not. He will target the Succubi that he's facing. He'll be using his Peacekeeper pistol, rolling 3 dice, hitting on a 4 or greater. He has 1 hit. And the Succubi has a defense of 3, so we'll be subtracting 3 from this damage roll. 4 minus 3 is 1, so that Succubi will gain an additional wound token, giving them up to 4. All right, and finally for the round, we have Emerson Wheeler, the henchman, and he has a movement of 4. Currently no one is near him, so he will move 4 spaces, or actually 2 spaces, 1, 2, and he's going to try to take out this wounded succubi. He'll be using his pistol, and he will be rolling 2 dice, and he'll be hitting on a 4 or greater. You could use some luck. He has no hits. Very bad. All right, that completes that round. All right, we're going to start a new round, and we will roll for holding back the darkness. We roll a 6. That fails. The darkness moves up 1 point. All right, the succubi activate. Both of them are still targeting Will McMaster. This one is going to fire first using 3 dice, and they will be hitting on a 3 or greater. They scored 1 hit. Will can defend with a 5+. And he was successful. He did that. So no wounds get through. The last succubi will attack. Same 3 dice. And they scored 3 hits. Will can defend with a 5+. And he defended all 3. That's finally, we're starting to get some luck. That's very good. I'm sorry, that's wrong. He defended on a 5+. 1 got through. Will take 2 wounds. My mistake. That puts Will up to 4 wounds. And now the heroes will activate, starting with Dakota. Dakota is going to roll for movement. And he has a 3. He's going to remain in position. He's currently not being targeted. And he's going to use his carbine. And he'll roll 3 dice and see if he gets the hits. He can assign those after we see what he has. Here's his roll. He ended up with 2 hits. All right, and we can assign those now or as we resolve. So I think what we'll do is I'm going to assign them right now. I'll put 1 there and 1 against. No, actually I won't. We'll do this one at a time. We'll see if we can take out that succubi first. Dakota will be rolling a d6 for damage, and their defense is 3. So we'll see what we get. He rolled a 3, so that's 0 wounds. He'll assign the other dice to that succubi, and the same thing will happen, -3. And he rolled, I'm going to put that in the box. He rolled a 1, so we have no wounds getting through. All right, Will McMaster will activate. He'll roll for movement, see if he can recover a grit. He does not. And he will target the wounded succubi with his Peacekeeper, rolling 3 dice. He will hit on a 4 or greater. 1 hit got through, and we'll see what damage that does. That does a d6 -3. He rolled a 5. So 2 wounds are going to get through. That will put them to a total of 6. 6 out of their 7. All right. And now finally, Emerson Wheeler will activate. He can roll for movement. He's going to stay where he is. He cannot escape. So he will target the wounded succubi using his pistol, rolling 2d6 and hitting on a 4+. He finally got 2 hits. 2 hits, and we'll be rolling 2d6 for damage, -3 on each die. We need 1 hit wound to get through to take out the succubi. And we did it, finally. So that would have been 3 wounds. That kills the succubi. Great. All right, we'll start another round by holding back the darkness. We rolled an 8, that's sufficient. And now we go through our activation of models. The final succubi activates. He's still targeting Will, and he will roll 3 dice, hitting on a 3+. He ended up with 2 hits. Will can defend with a 5+. and he defended both. Great. All right, Dakota will activate. He can roll for movement. He rolls a 5. He'll stay where he is, and he'll use his carbine to fire on that succubi, the last one. So Dakota will roll 3 dice, hitting on a 4+. He scored 1 hit, and the damage is -3. A 1 -3, no good. No wounds get through. All right. Dakota does have 2 grit available. I'm going to use one of those grit and re-roll that. We'll see if we can get any wounds on this succubi. 5 -3, 2 wounds will get through. Okay, that's a good use of that grit token. Now Will McMaster will activate. He'll roll for movement, see if he can regain a grit. He does not. He'll spin to his left and attack that succubi with his Peacekeeper, rolling 3 dice. He'll hit on a 4 or greater. He scores 2 hits, and the succubi will defend with -3 to each die. And Will did get some damage. He rolled a 5. That's 2 wounds. 5 -3 is 2, and 4 -3 is 1. So 3 wounds are added on to the succubi. That will be a total of 5 wounds against him now. And now Emerson Wheeler will activate. He is not going to move. He'll just simply turn and attack. He'll use his pistol, rolling 2 dice and hitting on a 4 or greater. He got 1 hit, and the succubi will defend with -3. And no wounds are going to get through with that. So we'll begin another round. Hold back the darkness. We rolled a 9, so we're good. The succubi will activate, continuing its attack against Will McMaster, rolling 3 dice, hitting on a 3 or greater. Re-roll that. It ended up with 1 hit. Will can defend with a 5 or better. And he did. He was able to defend that. Excellent. All right, Dakota will activate next. He's going to roll for movement. He rolls a 6. All right, he'll hold position, and he'll use his carbine to attack the succubi from the back. He'll hit on a 4 or greater. No hits. He's going to use his last remaining grit to re-roll that. And he ended up with 3 hits. That's good. All right, 3 hits. The succubi will defend, or actually will determine his wound damage by -3 to each dice. That's his defense. Oh, that's fantastic. 6 -3 is 3, 6 -3 is 3, and 4 -3 is 1. 7 wounds, kills the final succubi. Outstanding. All right, now the posse gets to catch their breath. We start out by each hero is allowed to catch their breath at the end of every fight, healing D3 wounds or sanity, any mix. All right. Will McMaster will roll first. He'll be able to heal D3 wounds. He heals 2 wounds. That will leave him with 2 wounds remaining. And Dakota will roll a D3 and see how many he can heal. He heals 1. Okay, so that will put him at 8 wounds. And the henchman is unwounded. So we're good with that. Now we are able to collect our XP that we accumulated during the fight. Dakota killed 2 succubi. Each of those were worth 35 XP, so he will add 70 XP to his total. And the henchman killed one of the succubi, but he does not collect XP. They have a special XP that there is assigned to them if they survive the mission. So we'll give Dakota 70 XP. Alright, each hero is able to draw one loot card, loot card for each card drawn from the threat deck. So that will be only Dakota and Will McMaster. The henchman does not get a loot card. So here's our loot deck. And we will cut those. And this card will go to Dakota. And this one will go to Will. Dakota has 1 Darkstone shard and 30 XP. Alright, I'm using these as my markers for Darkstone, so I'll add that to Dakota's card. And he also gains 30 XP. Will McMaster, he found cash, $50 and 20 XP. Alright, that's pretty good. So Will McMaster gets $50 and 20 XP. Alright, the heroes have rested following their battle against the Hellfire Succubi, and we will return to normal play. So we'll remove the Hellfire Succubi from the initiative track, and now we were going to roll for holding back the darkness. We rolled a 9, so we are good. Alright, models will activate in order. Dakota is first. He'll roll for movement. He has a +1 to movement because he's fast. He rolls a 6. That'll be 7 points. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He reaches the gate and he would be able to look through, and he'll do that. He's going to look through the gate. So first thing, now, as this is a gate, we have to draw a world card to determine what world is involved. So this is our world deck. So we'll shuffle those and draw a world card. We have the canyons.
The posse has survived their first encounter with the supernatural creatures from the void. The shock of seeing these creatures with their own eyes was almost unbearable, and Dakota knew that he made tactical mistakes during the battle. In hindsight, Dakota knew that as soon as the creatures closed to attack, he should have switched from his carbine to his Indian hatchet. This would have allowed him to employ his savage attack, and devastated the strange creatures that brought both pain and delight. Next time, he'll be sure to make good use of his locket, and use its precious memories to strengthen his body and soul.